So $46,000 is actually a lot of money, and I'm actually going to be breaking down exactly how I was able to generate that amount in just a few months. I've gotten a lot of DMs and a lot of messages from people asking me different things like, hey, what account size did you have? What was your risk per trade? And all these types of things, so I'm going to answer it here. I'm going to start off by saying I got the account towards the end of February, like literally like the last few days of February, so I started the account around March. Now, that account was a 300K account total, so I had a 100K account and another 200K account. And I've talked about this on Twitter before, but I actually had the 100K account on Trade Copier with the 200K account. So if I took a 10 lot position, for example, on the 100K account, it would put a 20 lot position on the 200K account. Now the reason being is just for me, it's a lot easier to trade like a 100K account versus if I had like a 300K account, because the P&L fluctuations are obviously going to be higher when you have a bigger account size. So instead of like, taking a $3,000 position on a 300K account and having the psychology being kind of a little bit something that has some time getting used to, I just stuck with the 100K account and just got the copier for the 200K because I'm very comfortable risking, let's say, $1,000 per trade. And that goes into the next thing that a lot of people are asking me is, how much risk were you putting on per trade? So in relative to the full 300K, it was about $3,000 per trade. Sometimes it'll be less because depending on the trade, obviously, but typically I like to risk around 1% on these funded accounts. So on the 100K account, I was really risking about $1,000 per trade, and in total it would be around 3 grand. And that's the key thing here, guys, is that if you guys can stick to that type of risk parameter, you don't need any crazy risk to rewards in order to generate good money as you build up equity. And the reason why I say this is because if you think about it, right, $46,000, that's really about 15R total in the span of about 2 months. And when you really think of it and put it in that perspective, 15R is not that crazy to make in about a 2-month span, especially if you have a system that can generate 2 to 3R consistently. And that's kind of why the primary focus of this video is really just going to be talking about your risk parameters. So it's going to be about risk parameters and strategy. Now, in terms of the risk parameters, I think it's very important that people realize that over the long haul, you can do a 15, like if you do on average, let's say 2.5 R every week on average, right? Including like weeks where you have a bigger R percentage, or let's say, you may even have a down week, but the average, let's just keep it at 2.5. At 2.5, you're going to be doing about 10 R for the month. So if you're someone who's taking a $3,000 risk per trade, for the month, you're going to generate $30,000. Now that's very important for people to really understand, because you don't need to hit those big home run trades. If you build up equity within these FTMO accounts, or let's say you have My Forex funds or whatever prop firm you guys choose, the more equity you build up, even though you're trading the same exact percentage, the amount of money that you're going to be making is much more. So it's really beneficial to kind of stack up these accounts and stick to your risk parameters. You don't have to risk too much per trade. Like if you have, let's say on the 100K account, you have $10,000 from the initial balance that you could risk. There's no need to kind of risk too much money on those accounts, simply because if you just stick to the risk parameters over the course of a few months, you're going to be able to really stack up those gains and compound those accounts. So that's just something to kind of think about, because some people kind of get these accounts and they kind of want to go push it, and then but the statistics shows the more that people push, this is very likely that they keep the account long term. So that's number one, that's kind of the risk parameters that I was using for my FTMO accounts. Now, in terms of strategies, right, I personally believe in having a mechanical strategy. So what does that mean? So in my eyes, there's 2 ways of trading. You have a mechanical strategy and you have a discretionary type of system. A discretionary type of system is simply just kind of like looking at the chart. You have an understanding of market structure, you have an understanding of where the market may want to go, so you start to kind of trade in and out of positions without any real set kind of rules, versus the mechanical system where it's like, hey, if I have A, B, C, D, then I enter here, I put my stop loss here, my targets go there, where everything is kind of planned out for you. And in my opinion, this is the best way to trade, because trading is already kind of stressful, and when the mind is stressed, it's very hard for us to make sound decisions. But if you already have your components for the trade that's already planned out, that discretionary, you're not too worried about executing, because you already know how you're going to execute, versus someone who's trading discretionary. It's kind of like, you kind of have to think on the fly, you kind of have to make decisions at the moment, which is, especially when you're trading, especially higher numbers, it becomes a lot more stressful, and it becomes much more difficult to make trading decisions. So the way I trade personally, I have a couple mechanical strategies where, hey, I have a couple criteria of, hey, if the market does XYZ, then this is exactly how I'm going to enter the trade. This is how I'm going to exit, and I have my full trading plan planned out. So yeah, guys, I'm just going to leave you guys on those 2 tips. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure to do so. I'm going to actually be making another video on my full journey from start to finish, how long I've been trading, all that type of stuff, and the type of styles of trading that I went through, the different mentors that I went through, and all the ups, the many downs. So you guys definitely don't want to miss that video. So I'll see you guys in the next one.